I used to think the scariest part of working the night shift was being alone. I was wrong. The scariest part is when you're not. If you've ever worked a graveyard shift, gas station, hospital, hotel front desk, doesn't matter. You know there's a specific kind of quiet that happens after 2 a.m. It's not peaceful. It's waiting. This happened to me 11 months ago at a gas station off Route 9 outside Bend, Oregon. I still keep my car doors locked when I'm parked in my own driveway. By the end of this, you'll understand why. My name's Casey. I was 24, 3 months into a job at a 24-hour gas station called Merritt's, the kind of place that's really just a counter, 2 aisles of chips, and a coffee machine that had been broken since before I got hired. The night shift was 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I took it because it paid $2 more an hour, and because, honestly, I didn't sleep much anyway. For the first few weeks, it was boring. Truckers, a few drunk college kids. One regular, an old man named Walt, who came in every night at exactly 1:15 a.m. for a pack of cigarettes and a lottery ticket, paid an exact change, and left without a word. I liked Walt. He was consistent, predictable. And a job like that, predictable is a gift. Then on a Tuesday in March, a woman came in at 2:47 a.m. I remember the time because the door chime went off, and I looked at the clock, out of habit. You always check the clock when someone walks in that late. It's just instinct. She was maybe 30, pale, in a way that wasn't just pale skin. It was more like she hadn't been outside in a long time. She wore a gray cardigan buttoned all the way up, even though it was almost 70 degrees that night. She walked straight to the counter. Didn't look at the aisles, didn't grab anything. She never bought anything. She never spoke again. At 5 a.m., she just wasn't there anymore. I hadn't seen her get up. I hadn't heard the door chime. I told myself I'd fallen asleep for a second. Micronap. It happens on night shift. That's what I told myself. She came back the next Tuesday. Same time, 2:47 a.m. Same gray cardigan, same question about the phone. This time I asked her name. Renee, she said. I asked if her husband ever showed up. She smiled, small, tired, and said, "He will. He's just running late." Over the next few weeks, this became a pattern. Every Tuesday, 2:47 a.m., Renee walked in, asked to use the phone, got no answer, and sat in the chair by the window until she vanished sometime before sunrise, always when I wasn't looking directly at her. I started timing myself. I started watching the chair. And every single time, I still missed the exact moment she left. It was like my eyes would slide right off her the second I focused too hard. I finally told Walt about it. Old reliable Walt. Cigarettes and a lottery ticket at 1:15. I described her. Gray cardigan, pale, waiting for her husband. Walt went quiet. Genuinely quiet for the first time since I'd known him. Then he said, "You mean Renee Kessler?" I hadn't told him her name.
The church bell rang again. A child's voice echoed through the basement. You were never the first, Daniel. Hidden behind a wall, Daniel discovered dozens of skeletons. Each skeleton held an ID card. Every card belonged to Daniel Carter. Different years, different photographs. Every version had entered the church. Every version had died. He wasn't trapped inside one haunted church. He was trapped inside an endless cycle. Walt said, "She's been waiting for him ever since. Some nights, people say she still comes in. Still asks to use the phone.
I laughed it off. I had to. What else do you do at 1 a.m. with a stranger telling you the woman you've been chatting with for a month has been dead for 30 years? But the twist wasn't that Renee was a ghost. I already half suspected that. The twist was what Walt said next. She only shows up to people who are gonna need a phone call themselves someday. She's not warning you about her. She's warning you about you. I quit thinking about it too hard after that. Told myself Walt was just an old man who liked ghost stories, and Renee was a nice, strange regular who'd stop coming around eventually. Grief does weird things to routines. Maybe she really believed her husband was still coming. 3 more Tuesdays passed. Same as always. Then came the Tuesday that changed everything. It was 2:44 a.m., 3 minutes early, which had never happened before. The door chime rang. I looked up, already knowing what I'd see. Except this time, Renee walked straight past the counter without asking to use the phone. She sat down in the chair by the window, like always, but she was staring at me now, not the parking lot. She said, "You should call him." I said, "Call who?" She said, "Whoever's picking you up tonight." My stomach dropped because I'd texted my boyfriend Danny an hour earlier to come get me after my shift ended at 7. He said he would. He always did. At 6:52 a.m., I texted him. No response. I called. It rang out. I told myself it was fine. He was probably still asleep, phone on silent. He'd wake up in a panic and come running. At 7:10, my relief showed up for the day shift. I walked outside to wait for Danny, like I did every morning. I stood in that same spot by the payphone. The same spot Walt said Renee had died in, 30 years before. At 7:19 a.m., a car came off the highway too fast, clipped the curb, and swerved directly toward the parking lot. Directly toward me. I don't remember deciding to move. I just remember Renee's voice, clear as anything, right next to my ear, even though I was standing completely alone. Not this time. I stumbled backward into the propane cage, bolted to the wall, hard enough to bruise my ribs for 2 weeks, and the car missed me by maybe 4 feet before crashing into the ice cooler where I'd been standing half a second earlier. The driver had fallen asleep at the wheel, coming home from a night shift of his own. Here's the part that still keeps me up at night, though. The real second twist. When the police pulled the driver's information, they found his emergency contact. His wife. Her name was Renee. Not the same Renee. A different woman entirely, alive, 30 minutes away, who had no idea her husband had almost killed a stranger that morning, and who would have gotten the same phone call the ghost Renee never got to receive 30 years earlier, if I hadn't moved. I never saw Ghost Renee again after that morning. Walt told me some presences only need to do their job once. She'd been waiting 30 years for someone to actually listen. I quit Merritt's 2 weeks later. Not because I was scared of Renee anymore. Honestly, by the end I wasn't. I quit because every single night at 2:47 a.m., I found myself watching that chair by the window, half hoping, half terrified she'd come back. She never did. I still don't know if Renee saved my life because she recognized something of herself in me, or because some part of her just couldn't let another woman become a story someone tells a stranger at a gas station counter 30 years later. Either way, I check my rearview mirror every time I'm parked somewhere alone now. And if you ever work a night shift, gas station, hospital, doesn't matter where, and someone asks to borrow your phone at an oddly specific hour, let them use it. You never know whose call you're actually answering. If this one got to you, you know what to do. Like, share, and tell me in the comments. Would you have let her use the phone?